Wink is back, a Winky Wednesday episode, and Greg Joseph didn't even stick around long enough to hear Nicholas Winkler's breakdown on the special teams. Moody, did he win the job? Did he deserve to win the job? Saleh raving about the rookies, Jawan Jennings holding in, and a whole lot more in today's Locked On 49ers.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker with you as always, at BD Peacock, at Coach Crocky. Thanks everybody for making us your first listen on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Love and appreciate all the everydayers hanging with us. And of course, if you're new to the program, welcome. You can be an everydayer, you can be just a sometimeser, but we love our everydayers out here. So subscribe up on YouTube and everywhere you get your podcasts, and subscribe because there's a ton of Wink. Would you be shocked if I told you that like 70% of the everyday listeners aren't even subscribed?
I would be shocked, yes.
You clearly know where to find us because they keep coming back, but hit that subscribe button because it helps other people find the show as well. We got to talk about a lot going on in 49ers camp, and Wink has been gone. He's been traveling the world, and he is now back. And man, I couldn't wait. I've been kind of waiting for you for another Winky Wednesday episode, Wink, to talk about this kicking competition between Greg Moody and Greg Joseph. Greg Joseph, though, cut yesterday before practice, before you made your return to Locked On 49ers. Whether it's Brant Boyer, the long snapping situation, the punting situation, the return game, the rookie Junior Bergen, whatever it is, the kicking competition. What do you think? What's going on with the special teams? How do you feel about the special teams going into this year? And by the way, listeners, we still need a name for Wink's segment, which is probably going to focus a lot more on maybe field goal kicking than punting, I have a feeling, this season going forward. But we'll see. I think the story is yet to be told about the special teams for the 49ers. It's going to be a little new look. And apparently, it's Jake Moody all the way as the kicker, Wink.
I had all these great names for the special teams segment with Joseph, and now it's gone. No opportunity for that. No, but it's funny. When I was in Italy, I'd like wake up early in the morning and, check all the practice reports, and I'm checking field goals, and I'm checking, who's going to win this competition? It's close. And then sounds like it was a numbers game why Joseph went away. I mean, Moody, still that third-round pick, still trying to get whatever they can out of him. I mean, you can't blame the 49ers for doing that. But it does seem a bit like I was excited. I was excited to see, are they both going to kick in the game this weekend? Are they going to switch off who kicks first the next couple of games? And now we can just kind of throw all that out the window. And it's essentially Nick Moody's job to lose at this point. I mean, no kicker's ever really safe because there's 20 kickers out there right now that could probably have a job in the NFL in the right circumstance. So don't get too comfortable, Moody, is all I'm saying. You better keep working hard.
You said Nick Moody. Did I say Nick Moody? Because I've said it before. Jake Moody. And we got to put some respect on his name. He's the kicker. He won the job.
Do we have to put respect on his name? Has he earned that?
When he starts making those game-winning kicks, I think is really the key here. So we'll see how it goes in the preseason. I don't think he's quite out of the woods yet because there are other kickers, including Greg Joseph, that don't have other jobs yet. And you got to be legit if you're going to be one of 32 and you're going to be kicking field goals for this team. They needed the roster spot, which is the number one reason, but I think it was a little bit of a little bit of a sham competition. They did want to push Moody, but I think it wasn't. I think they wanted him to feel like he was getting pushed more than he was actually going to lose the job. It would have to be a landslide win for Greg Joseph for him to actually win that job over Jake Moody to be the kicker. By the way, I think Moody missed one kick, went off the crossbar 55 yards at practice today. He's either 4 or 5 or 5 of 6 kicking. And so that's kind of been, where he's been at. And Croc, overall special teams, do you have any vibes there? I know you saw some guys fielding punts. We haven't really seen, I want to talk about what Robert Saleh said. He brought something up that was just, it kind of like, it was jarring. And it was like, of course it's obvious, but it's something I didn't really think about one key factor in all of this that we're tracking right now because they haven't played any other teams yet. But from your vantage point, whether it's the kicking game, whether it's just listening to Brant Boyer talk, where it's all the other special teams guys the 49ers have brought in, how do you feel about special teams right now? Because it's an important phase of the game that we don't talk enough about, because it's so much more exciting to talk about rookies and offense and receivers and quarterbacks and running backs, which we're going to still talk about later in today's show. But we're going to give special teams its due since Wink is back today.
As it pertains to the 49ers, I don't think there's been any more or less emphasis on special teams and the units. And we won't know much until the season actually starts. I think for me, the biggest thing is, one, do you have a sure-handed return guy? And then two, what kind of dynamic ability does he have? Like that's going to be huge. Who are the main gunners? When you lose a guy like Odom and he is no longer running down, who's that guy that you signed that says, you know what, this guy is going to be our special teams ace? Maybe it's Cyron Neal. And I liked him coming out of college, Jacksonville State. He was with Buffalo. I think he's made it this long in the NFL because he is a special teams type of guy. So, what does it look like with him running down on kickoff, running down on punt coverage? Those are the questions that won't be answered until the actual games. But I think the thing that's going to stand out the most is, how does Jake Moody do? And is he making in clutch situations? And I don't think we'll be able to truly judge him until the 49ers are put in those situations. Last year, we watched him go 6 for 6. But then at times where the 49ers needed him to be a little bit more and be clutch, he just wasn't good in those type of situations.
Yeah, Peacock, you mentioned maybe the special teams thing would focus a lot on Jake Moody. But you know me, I was a big Wisnowski guy, so I'm going to be scrutinizing every single punt that Morstead has. Like, I'm going to be like, all right, that one should have been inside the 20, and he left it at the 21, that sort of thing. Because Wisnowski was the best, if not top 3 in the NFL at pinning the other team inside the 20, giving them bad field position. So for me, that's even bigger. I love the Jake Moody stuff. I hope he does well, but I'm going to be watching very closely on Morstead every punt.
And let's be honest, hopefully it's less Stead this year, because we don't want as many punts, right? And
he doesn't punt at all year.
Right. Yeah. Let's not worry about that segment, because the Niners aren't going to punt, because the offense is going to be rolling down the field and putting the ball in the end zone. No field goal attempts either. Extra points only this year. Just less special teams. How about that for the San Francisco 49ers in 2025? That'll make for a better unit overall. Guys, Robert Saleh was speaking. He was asked a lot about rookies and had a number of notes, talked about D. Winters. I want to talk about the linebacker situation as well for the 49ers here as we approach the joint practice with the Broncos and, of course, the beginning of special teams, or the beginning of preseason exhibition games, exhibition season here for the 49ers and the rest of the NFL, aside from the Chargers and the Lions. But Robert Saleh was talking about Upton Stout and the job he's done. And he's been kind of the big winner. Matt Barrow's article, we talked about it yesterday. Upton Stout was ranked one of the entire rookie class for the San Francisco 49ers. And Robert Saleh talked about how, Fred Warner's giving him props, and it's clear that he's done very well for himself. And he does have the inside track on the nickel job, even though it's the inside track early in a long race, still 3 preseason games to go, Robert Saleh said. But he also said something that it blew my mind. He's like, and we have to learn if he can tackle. And it's like, oh, that's right. They haven't tackled anybody yet. Like, how do we talk about any of this, even with pads on? Nobody's tackling anybody at practice. So this is the first time they get to hit somebody on the other team and actually tackle somebody and bring anybody to the ground. And it's just the most simple and obvious thing. And Robert Saleh brought it up, and I was like, oh yeah, you still have to learn if guys can tackle, because they don't practice tackling.
I love that, because, hey, I'm excited for these joint practices, because like you said, you get out there and start hitting other guys that aren't, you're not seeing him every single day. You don't know his footwork. You don't know his technique. You don't know what he's going to do, because you know what the defense is running. We're going to learn a lot about these rookies. Talking about CJ West Power and Mykel Williams. He's this raw talent, this young guy. What did Cooney say about Alfred Collins? Like, he's the largest person ever, or something like that. Like, I can't wait to see these guys in action, especially this weekend, especially on Saturday. That's going to be really exciting.
I feel like they said the same thing about Jawan Kinlaw.
I think you're right.
Now, just because they're two massive human beings does not mean that one guy is going to be the other, or so forth. But just as far as how big, it was like a lot of people put an emphasis on Jawan Kinlaw and talked about how big of a human being he was. And now they're doing the same thing with Alfred Collins, which awesome. Like, I've been one, and we talked about this a little bit at the end of the last episode, and we talked about potentially bypassing Will Johnson to draft Alfred Collins, right? And will you miss out on that? But the one thing I will say that I definitely agree with is I've been clamoring for them to get a big body interior guy, and they did that for me. So curious to see how it shakes out and how they utilize them, because right now it seems like it's a little bit up in the air.
They got a couple of them. They drafted a couple of big body interior guys. CJ West, not nearly as tall as Alfred Collins, and then an undrafted guy as well that is turning some heads in camp. So more comments from Robert Saleh on the rookie class, some notes on Upton Stout on the field, Ricky Pearsall. Jawan Jennings still not practicing. Is there other reasons why beyond his calf that he's not out there with the San Francisco 49ers? Kyle Shanahan spoke on that earlier this week as well. We'll get into all of it next. This episode of Locked On 49ers presented by Yahoo Fantasy. It's the best time of year. NFL kickoff almost here. That means fantasy football season is back in full swing. And this year, Yahoo Fantasy is turning things up with a fantasy football experience like never before. Of course, I'm playing on Yahoo Fantasy. Wink, I know you're playing on Yahoo Fantasy because you were the commish of one of the leagues I play in on Yahoo Fantasy, getting our keepers in for that league. And so whether you're a first-timer or a veteran making your millionth league, you can do it all right now on Yahoo Fantasy. And Yahoo's celebrating 28 years, kind of insane, 28 years of fantasy football greatness. Yahoo Fantasy dropping 28 big new features over the next 28 days throughout August. And to kick it off, they just dropped Yahoo Fantasy Guillotine Leagues. No doubt Wink's going to send me the link to that pretty soon, inviting me to that new Guillotine League at Yahoo Fantasy, a killer new way to play fantasy football on Yahoo, where the lowest scoring team gets eliminated each week until there's one team left standing. With the season around the corner, now's the time to get your league together and give this new mode a try. If you're more into the classics, you can still play head-to-head private leagues or join a public league. Stay tuned for more killer announcements and start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football now at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. I can see in look in your eyes, Wink, that you're pumped for the new Guillotine League at Yahoo Fantasy. And I guarantee you within the hour of ending this recording, I'm going to have that in my inbox and the invite to the new Guillotine League. I'm excited about that because if you have a bad season, it's over quick too. So it's like it's ripping the Band-Aid off. So I like that. I like that idea. Instead of just kind of hanging on here, I do the console bracket. My team, my number 1.1 pick is injured, and my team is garbage this year. But I gotta play out the stretch, right? And I gotta go all the way through it. But yeah, so pumped for football and fantasy football drafts and all the things that come late summer with the NFL. So excited for all that stuff. Rookies and
Robert, with fantasy football, the biggest thing is just being hot down the stretch a little bit, right? Like I think I started off 1-5 last season in fantasy, ended up creeping into the playoffs and won the whole thing. So continue to make some adjustments, stick with it, and you never know. But it's really about getting hot at the end.
I mean, that's what I was thinking. Christian McCaffrey. I was like, people are sending me trade offer. He'll be back, and then I just got to squeak into the playoffs, and then I'll be at full power. And of course, that never happened.
Yeah, a few years ago, I won the championship, and then the year after, I started off 11-0, and then I lost like 4 or 5 straight and was done. And it's like, oh, great! I had the best team for the majority of the season, and a couple injuries hit your team, and I wasn't prepared for it. So we do love our fantasy, though.
As Robert Saleh said about Upton Stout, it's a long race. So having the inside track is not quite enough. Upton Stout just turning heads every single day. All the beat reporters talking about it, making plays. He's physical out there despite his small stature. Him versus Ricky Pearsall seems to be the matchup of camp right now in one-on-ones and in team stuff. And so that's a lot of fun. So I can't wait to see all these guys obviously out there in the preseason games. So inside track for Upton Stout. Now, he also highlighted it was really and look, I love reading between the lines when it comes to coaches, guys. And so this is what Robert Saleh had to say about the defensive line rookies. And he highlighted the run defense from CJ West and the improving run defense of Alfred Collins, and then highlighted the inside pass rush from Mykel Williams. And so a lot was in what he said, and a lot was in what he didn't say, which basically he's saying Mykel Williams, not as good rushing from the outside, but he can rush from the inside. So we're cool because we have some 3-down value. As far as the other two defensive tackles go, they're going to clog space. And that's what we know they can do right now, and that's kind of what I heard, which is fine. And he also, what else is funny is he's also like, and don't forget, guys, if you hit on 50% of your draft picks, that's really good. So I don't know which ones Robert Saleh was thinking about when he said that. He's like, yeah, half of these guys, I don't know if they're going to be what we hoped, but I mean, half of them I'm really excited about. So there you go.
I think the wildest thing we heard from Saleh in that whole press conference was we might have 8 new starters on defense. Like, that never registered to me that, like, yeah, there might be 8 new guys out there with Bosa and Lenore and Warner, right? And then 8 other guys.
Yeah, it's not just rookies either. And Kyle Shanahan at the first day of camp was talking about, yeah, we hope we have 6 new starters or 6 rookies, 6 of these rookies starting. Like, are you sure you really hope we have 6 rookies starting? That usually doesn't go great. And Saleh went on to talk about it. He's like, yeah, that's why this is different than 2019. In 2019, we kind of remade the defensive line, but you still had Armstead and Buckner, and you still had and he just kind of went through and named it. There was like Tart and Ward, and he kind of went through and named all the veterans that were everywhere on the roster. And he said, not only is there rookies, but you got Jason Pinnock and you got all these guys that are new to the team, even if they're not rookie players. So there's a lot of new on defense for the 49ers. And he did say that he loves going against one of the most detailed offenses in the NFL. He does think it really prepares the defense well to play against Kyle Shanahan's offense in practice. And, that might be a little leg up that you have on the competition because you get to play against a scheme you're going to see a lot, but the guy that's like the best at that scheme in practice every day. So that's pretty important.
You would think that would make the games a little bit easier, right?
Right.
Hey man, this is like a rip-off version of what we do.
Right.
And we do it at such a high level. Like you would think it would really prepare the defense for it, especially since, and this isn't to downplay other offensive coordinators around the league, but everybody looks at Kyle Shanahan, especially with this style of offense, as kind of like the big dog. Like, he's the guy. He's kind of he is the what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like a pioneer. I don't want to call him a pioneer, but because he's not the pioneer of it. I mean, his dad is. But essentially, he's one of the best that's doing it right now. So you're getting a great look at it every day in practice.
Yeah, every list you see about play callers, he's at the top, right? If he's not 1, he's 2.
Yeah, I mean, he's phenomenal. Like that's not even the question. And so, yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways that this could go for the 49ers because of that. And Robert Saleh mentioned the 50% thing. And that's the 50% is good. It might be 30% that you hit on, right? But man, if you hit on like 60%, 70%, then you start to have an all-time class when you're talking about 11 draft picks. And it already looks like multiple of these rookies are not just going to be starters and play a lot because they have to, because of the depth, because they're earning it. And Upton Stout, Jay West, I think Mykel Williams in that role that Robert Saleh laid out, and really, his 3rd down value is going to be on the interior as a rookie, and maybe, who knows, his entire career. And so a lot of other development needed. And so I can't wait. And like, really, Nick Martin is another one. You talk about tackling and what that's going to look like. And he's somebody that I just, the D Winters versus Nick Martin thing. Winters is the veteran, and he really had a hot start to camp, but I don't think that the linebacker and running back, that's not something you can really find out about until we start seeing tackling and hitting and really game time situations. And by the way, Nick Martin was at the podium, and it was muted because we were about to start to record. So I want to go back and listen to what Nick Martin said. So I'm not sure what he said yet at the podium, but he might not be that tall, but he's got massive biceps. Like, he puts work in the weight room. It looks like a guy that would weigh a lot more than 221 pounds by just by seeing his arms in the sleeveless shirt.
That's what you want in your middle linebackers, right? You want them to be able to drag a guy down so they don't get away.
Yeah, that strength to finish the job. Next, another note on the linebackers about D Winters, what makes him good and why he probably will win the job initially as the linebacker next to Fred Warner in the 49ers defense, and a banned substance. It's a little bit surprising on the list. George Kittle, not happy about it. And Jawan Jennings, is he holding in next? This episode of Locked On 49ers brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Summer sports in full swing. And, of course, Major League Baseball's post-All-Star break, post-trade deadline, down the stretch run there, golf on the green, high-stakes soccer action, preseason football now, and FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. And, of course, you can already bet on all of the weekly lines. They're already up at FanDuel for the NFL season. Tons of props for this 2025 season as well. College football, you're already following the action, right? So why not make it a little more thrilling with FanDuel? You can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach, and heck, you can even play while you're also getting sunburned on the beach with the FanDuel app. There's always new daily promotions and fun ways to bet, and you got the same game parlays as well, so you can play along as the game is happening that you're watching. And if you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to get involved. New customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. So open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right, so one last note on Robert Saleh talking about the team and talking about D. Winters. And he basically said D. Winters' coverage ability is as good as anybody. And Croc, do you remember when we went back and we looked at the PFF grades for coverage grades for the 2024 season? And the two highest graded coverage players, neither were defensive backs. They were both linebackers. It was Fred Warner and it was D. Winters. And he talked about being comfortable enough to have a play call where Winters is one-on-one on a running back, say Christian McCaffrey. And we saw that in practice, and multiple beat writers have talked about this one play in practice where there was a beautiful ball thrown to Christian McCaffrey, who's on a wheel route down the football field. And there was a couple of these. One, D. Winters ran stride for stride with McCaffrey on his hip on Brock Purdy's throw. It was a bit inside. Winters' tight coverage allowed Christian McCaffrey no chance to adjust, and the ball felt complete. So a shout out to your boy Rob Louder, KP, and Nick Wagner and Mayoko and Barrows, and of course the entire crew of beat writers for giving us all these reports. Cam Inman's got a nice report today on Pearsall and the Brock Purdy connection. And then there was another play where McCaffrey got on a similar play, got deep behind Fred Warner, but Upton Stout came off his guy to come and make the play. So tons of fantastic insight from what's going on the football field. But man, it's so important because if you can trust D. Winters to cover, then you can ask Fred Warner to blitz, right? Or you can share responsibilities on your team, right? And other guys can pick up other guys, and your pass rush gets home, so guys have to cover less on the back end, and the guys on the back end are covering tighter. So that means the quarterback holds the ball longer, and then your defensive line can get home. So like just all these things come together, and having linebackers that can cover is so important in this day and age. That's why Johnny Holland, the linebackers coach, was talking about speed is the number one thing he's looking for in these linebackers. D. Winters has it. Nick Martin has it. Fred Warner has it. And if you're going to be a San Francisco 49ers linebacker going forward, you got to have the speed. And just because you're fast doesn't mean you can cover either. So that's a huge boon for D. Winters winning this job, is his cover ability as well as his run and hit ability.
Yeah,
I think when it comes to coverage skills, a lot of people kind of associate like the speed with being able to cover guys, but I think instincts have a lot to do with how well you can cover. Not just instincts, but instincts. Being able to, I don't want to use the word predict, but I like to have a checklist of routes, like, once guys get to certain depths. So being able to play with anticipation, I think that's really huge, because most of football is not played in a straight line, but having that speed to where you can be a little bit more patient because a guy can't just blow by you. I think that makes a big difference. So I think, D. Winters being a speedy guy, Nick Martin, those guys, now it's just, can we get that anticipation with the routes and the concepts down? That'd be huge for their coverage ability. And maybe D. Winters already has it.
I mean, you talked about freeing up Fred Warner, not just to blitz, but to also spy quarterbacks, because you play Kyler Murray twice a year. You've got in the NFC Jaden Daniels. You've got these guys, Jalen Hurts, these quarterbacks that are very mobile, and you do need to kind of have a guy on him the whole time. So if D. Martin's out there taking care of the coverage, then Fred Warner's going to be in a great position to stop guys like that.
Mac Jones, 14 of 14, apparently, until his final throw in the red zone came up incomplete and short. The Purdy to Pearsall connection, dynamic. I think they connected at least 5 times in practice. Apparently, they were playing the hits in practice today with Purdy connecting with George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, and then a whole bunch of times to Ricky Pearsall. And great reports about Ricky Pearsall now that he's been full go after his early hamstring injury to start camp. It was a little bit of a low day, less physical practice, getting ready for tomorrow's day off, and then trying to get everybody ready for that joint practice, which is all important, that Kyle Shanahan holds in high regard every summer. It's more important than the preseason games even. So it's a big practice on Thursday, the joint practice with the Denver Broncos after the Wednesday off day. And a couple quick notes here is that Kyle Juszczyk's been dealing with an Achilles, and Nick Bosa had what was called a veteran rest day yesterday, but was also not practicing today. So back-to-back days off. Is there something going on with Nick Bosa? Tomorrow's an off day, or they just want him to be, load management because they know they have a very physical practice coming up against the Denver Broncos. Hopefully that's the case, and that's the reason Nick Bosa wasn't practicing. But we talked about all the new faces and all the new players on defense and rookies like Bosa, Warner. Those are the names you don't want to hear on the injury report, guys.
Not one bit.
Jawan Jennings. What do you think about Jawan Jennings? I put my Jawan Jennings hat on and I go to camp. Okay. I don't know what movement there's been on contract talks since camp has started, but nothing's been announced. And then you have that calf injury. I'm not coming back to practice, man. And Kyle Shanahan was asked about that, and he said, well, I think it's injury related. You would have to ask Jawan about that. But he says he's got a calf. This might be a hold-in situation. This might be a hold-in situation, and I can't blame Jawan Jennings at all, especially if he did start to have a calf injury and was like, oh, that's right. This is why you don't practice, because you can hurt yourself in practice. I got to be smart. But he showed up, and he did start practicing. I don't think we're out of the woods yet on this one with Jawan Jennings. What do you guys think? Is this a hold-in officially with Jawan Jennings right now?
I wasn't as worried until I heard Kyle Shanahan's explanation on it. Like, I don't know. You'd have to ask Jawan Jennings. What, Kyle?
He followed it up right after he said, we saw the MRI. There was a little something there.
Oh, okay.
So
okay, there we go.
A little something there. I don't know.
I mean, what percent do you have to be?
Yeah.
Got to be more than 100 if you're Jawan Jennings to come back and practice, though, because
you feel anything and you're looking for a new contract, you sit it out. Yeah. You can't blame him at all. It's a business.
And to be honest with you, he's an old head. It's like, fine, don't practice. Don't get hurt. We need you in week 1, right? And hopefully the contract situation is figured out and he's actually on the field in week 1, because that would be tough, man. Equanimeous St. Brown back, Andy Isabella gone. One of the weirdest turnstiles at wide receiver that I can remember. And I know there's been some injuries, and they need a certain number of guys, but Equanimeous St. Brown wasn't hurt. They're like, we don't like you very much. Get out of here. Oh, so never mind. The guy we replaced you with got hurt. So can you come back, please? And he's like, yeah, sure, I guess so. So I guess I'll just run routes that just be a sacrificial route runner. You don't even like me very much. I'm not going to make the team. Like, that's the vibe I get. But Robbie Chosen, I don't know. Just a weird group of wide receivers right now. And I'm trying to figure out what they're even trying to accomplish here. And
they're just trying to get their receivers through camp. Yep. And right now guys are banged up, and all right, let's just keep throwing bodies out there. Keep throwing more and more bodies out there. I will say, if I'm Equanimeous St. Brown, the one thing that I want to do is I want to compete against a team coming in here in a joint practice, because maybe they see something they like. I impressed them, and all right, 49ers, you let me go. But I was dogging these DBs. Maybe I'm a guy that they end up picking up. So, I mean, there's all the NFL, you are a business, like by yourself. Like, you personally are a business. Like, the team, whenever they have an opportunity to do whatever's best for them, they're going to do it, regardless of if it hurts you or affects your family or whatever. So as a player, You look at it as just that. That's why there's guys like, I think it was Steve Smith, and he talked about having a 49er blanket that his granny made for him. And he's like, yeah, I'm a 49er fan. And they were like, oh, 49er fan, but you played for the Panthers and you played for the Ravens. He was like, they were my employers.
Yeah.
I'm a 49er fan, So that's why you see that a lot where guys grew up cheering for a team. They're still fans of that team, but they play for their employer, which happens to be the Ravens or the Carolina Panthers. And Equanimous St. Brown, these guys, they understand where the 49ers stand. It's a business. They'll cut them in the days, hey, come to the office and bring that playbook too. Okay.
Not a good sign.
They'll do that real quick and not think twice about it. So
yeah, Brown has an opportunity.
St. Brown. Yep.
Yeah, on Saturday, maybe he's got a good opportunity to put some tape down, right? You just look at it as, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to play as hard as I can, and maybe I'll impress somebody else because he's probably not going to be on the 49ers this season.
Well, I mean, look, he's related to Gus Bradley, but that's what Kyle Shanahan talked about with Carter Bradley, the Niners' new third-string quarterback. He was in for a workout. They liked what they saw in the workout. They went back and watched his, I think it was 28 snaps he took in the preseason last year, and they signed him. So
enough to get rid of Mordecai.
Put some good stuff on tape, and it's not just for one team, it's for the other 31 teams in the NFL as well. Wink, you brought this to our attention. Smelling salts banned in the NFL. George Kittle, not a fan.
Yeah, right before we went on, we saw he busted on the NFL set and they were doing some interviews or something, NFL Network. And yeah, apparently they banned them on the sidelines and the ammonia packets. And, Kittle being Kittle said, I'm contemplating retirement. Obviously he's not, but he says he uses them on every single drive. So this is he's asking for the NFL to kind of find a middle ground there, which they probably should do because, come on, smelling salts? Really?
It's for the kids.
No fun league.
You don't want the kids to do it on TV because I always make a big deal about it on the sideline, right? Just do it and don't let us see you do it, and you're good. That would be the middle ground. I don't know if it's actually dangerous. Who knows? But I don't think it's dangerous for him to be doing it, but I don't think
they can have a smelling salts tent.
Yeah, just go in the blue tent. It's like, oh, he's going in the tent. He's got an ankle. Oh, he's flying out of the tent. He's looks good. Croc, you a smelling salts guy?
Not at all. I have some buddies that do it before, like lifting heavy weights, but it's just never been my thing. I'm not a big enhancement type person. Like I'll have some protein and some creatine, but I'm not a person using smelling salts. I'm not a person. I don't know, all the extra stuff. I don't drink coffee to get my day started. I just drink water. I don't know. I don't do pre-workout, before lifting weights, where a lot of other people gets them going. I don't drink energy. I drink energy drinks for what it's supposed to do to me, as opposed to how it actually makes me feel. I don't notice a difference. So, but I know it's supposed to give me energy.
I'm blown away by some of these drinks because I do drink coffee. I love having coffee. And to be honest with you, I'd drink a decaf coffee because I just like coffee. I like the ritual of it.
Good. Yeah.
I like the taste of it. I like black coffee. And I'll get some of these energy drinks. I'm like, I didn't get any coffee today. Let me grab something. I'll pick something up off the shelf. And then I'll start drinking it and be like, first of all, this is disgusting. And they always over sweeten everything, especially the zero sugar stuff is actually sweeter because they try to make it taste good by putting all the fake sugar in it, and it becomes disgusting for me because I like my coffee black. I don't need a lot of sweet. Just take the sugar out. That's fine. Zero sugar, no sweet. I'm fine with that. I don't need this crazy sweet stuff. But then I look at it's 400 milligrams of caffeine. I'm like, oh my God, that is the entire pot of coffee right there.
Some of these flavors too, it's strawberry, berry, rainbow blast. And you're like, what?
Yeah,
what am I even drinking?
I tried smelling salts once, and I don't know how that would help you, to be honest with you. It was more painful than anything. It didn't make me want to come back to it and be like, oh, I feel like I could run through a wall. I was just like, get that out of my face.
I wanted to throw up. Yeah,
exactly. All right. Another very successful Winky Wednesday. Welcome back, Wink. My old radio colleague, my old podcast host. He joins us weekly on Wednesdays to talk San Francisco 49ers as we do every single day here, no matter what day of the week it is. At BD Peacock, at Coach Crocky. Find Wink at Bay Area Wink. Make sure you're subscribed up on YouTube and everywhere you get your podcast. Croc and I back tomorrow right here. Locked On 49ers.
It's Jake Moody.
Can't believe it.